Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to our daily live stream today. I'm Miles Debsky. We're actually broadcasting today from surprisingly sunny Portland, Oregon. And yeah, just a couple quick housekeeping things and then we'll dive right into today. We are broadcasting as normal to 3 different outlets. So YouTube channel, we are on Twitch, and we are also on Discord. Feel free to send in questions, comments on any of those platforms that you're watching from. I'll be kind of monitoring those and be able to pass questions along to Kristian and to respond to some as well. Discord is usually our kind of chattiest area. Just to run through some of the people I see already connected: Amy, Cameron, Canberra, David Angel, Dirk, Ed Burkle, Foxy Jack, Gadidi, Jake Shield, Jericho, Kenart, Kyle, Larry, Megan, M. Johnson, Net Lobster, NJAU, Oregon Dean, RCC Jer, what's up? Russell, Scott Kane, TK, and then we got a good amount of people also joining on Twitch and YouTube. Francisco, Ruben, Michelle, bunch of people watching. So yeah, feel free to ask questions, comment on there. If you are new, please check out our website, fmtraining.tv. It's kind of all of our teaching side of things. So we have video courses on here. We have books, and you can also get it all bundled together. And then also our live stream schedule is on here. So today we're in the middle of this new add-on product called Wolfpack with Kristian Olsen. And that'll finish out this week. And then next week we have Nick Hunter coming back. And then we also have a special day with Jesse Barnum from 360 Works. So that'll be a cool one too. So that's all I think I have. Kristian, I'm just going to turn it over to you and we can continue with the pack.
Right on. Thanks for the introduction, Miles. I'll go ahead and share my camera and my screen. Yeah, thank you for everyone who is coming today, especially if this is your second day. I know not everyone was able to attend yesterday, but I'm very excited to continue this conversation and show you the next steps in here. So yesterday, I tried to end on a little bit of a teaser, which is, okay, so here's the Wolfpack. You know, it does come with a package of add-ons, but maybe you have your own add-on, and how do you share yours? So I was pleasantly surprised this morning when I received an email from Kyle, and I think potentially also Neil, saying, hey, we've got add-ons. How do we share our add-ons with you? Can we send you our add-ons to put into the Wolfpack? And here's the thing about this. I tried to make this tool very much a community-oriented, or maybe I wanted this to be a tool as well as a package of add-ons. And so today what we're going to talk about is how do we share our packs with one another so that we can collectively have a larger Wolfpack. And so today we're going to dive into developer mode. And Miles, just to confirm, everything looks good in terms of a screen on your side?
Looks good to me.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So we're going to try to cover 3 primary things with today. One of them is, I think it's 3, how do we add an add-on to Wolfpack? How do we send our add-on to someone with a Wolfpack? And how do we receive add-ons or add-on packages from other people who have the Wolfpack? And so what I want to do is actually just walk everyone through this process, because it should be pretty easy. And I'm going to do that by actually adding a new add-on to the Wolfpack live with everyone here. Actually, I'm going to rehearse this, so hopefully it'll go pretty good. So to start off with, you have to have an add-on. And we've done some talks on how you would make your own add-on, but there's a litany of kind of, that's a whole other conversation. So assuming you already have this add-on, maybe you're Kyle or you're Neil or you're Calvin or some of the other engineers that have that add-on, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your Wolfpack, and there's a kind of secret button on the Wolf here. And when you click on this, you'll know that you're in developer mode because it's going to go into kind of like a dark mode setting as well as saying developer on there. I added this as kind of some visual feedback so that I knew what context I was in. Additionally, some of the features changed a little bit when you go from the regular consumable to the creator or developer mode. First of all, read first changes into the create button. And additionally, instead of installing selected add-ons, you're exporting them, which we'll get to. So we're going to go ahead and create a new add-on. And I'm going to go ahead and find that add-on. It's called Progress Bar by Calvin. I'm going to dump that in here. And what I should have done before today is grab some sort of picture. Well, let's just go ahead and make one. There we go. We're going to close this add-on. I'm actually using his add-on in this file. I'll show it to you guys today. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this preview in here. And we're going to do the icon as well. I'm not necessarily going to keep this one. Okay, I'm going to delete that. And this is optimized for desktop. It very well could be for tablet as well. Let's go ahead and give Calvin credit here. But I like to spell Calvin's last name wrong sometime, which I probably just did right now. Hopefully he doesn't see this and notice. And category, let's call this RCC, because you can actually categorize these however you want to. This is going to be version 1. It automatically creates the localization for English, but you do have the choice to change that. You can give this a title. So let's go ahead and call this Progress Bar. And one thing that is maybe a little confusing that you'll start to find in here is there is a file name that is somewhat hidden, and there is a title. The title is what shows up in your portal and is what you see, but the file name mimics more or less what you see here. It's important to how the install script works. So then we're going to come over here. We're going to give a description. This shows a very cool Progress. I can't spell. We already established that yesterday. Features, global, dynamic, progress bar. Okay. And then one of the things you have in here is the way that the installer works is actually replacing some JSON files. So if you want to get under the hood a little bit, there is, oh, look, it's not showing it right now. There is a debug mode that should compile the JSON for you. Let's go ahead and hit OK and go to another one so that we can kind of see that. There we go. Not sure why it's not showing up another one yet, but we'll go ahead and close that. So now we have this progress bar here. And even when we're outside of developer mode, we can still go into the customized settings and take a look at those things and change them. For example, I'm kind of curious, did our debug show? Let's not. I'll take a look at that later. Haven't added a new add-on in a while. Okay, we're going to close that. So, and that's why I mentioned to Miles, today could very well go by pretty quick. So if anyone has any questions, they don't have to be limited today. By all means, please send those over. I want to say welcome to Peter Greens. I see is on Twitch there. And so now this Wolfpack has this new add-on over here. Where'd it go? Progress bar. And so this Wolfpack says, hey, this other person over here, Target, they've got the Wolfpack, but they want my nifty cool add-on. How do I send it to them? So I'm going to move this out of the way for a moment. Okay. And I'm going to, oh, it's Geens, not Greens. Sorry about that. And so we're going to go ahead and click right here, and we're going to do an export. Okay. And we'll move that. Look at, we've got an FMP12 file here. Oh, you know what? I skipped a step. I should be looking at my checklist while I do this. So we've made the add-on, but one of the things that's really important here, and I'll use this one as an example. Calvin had me add this into the Wolfpack, and it's extremely simple to set up. But one of the conversations I was having even with Kyle earlier is that even when something is simple for those of us who made it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's simple for everyone else, even maybe an experienced developer like myself. And so to me, one of the values in Wolfpack isn't just that it is a place to store and organize our add-ons. This help section, I think, is really important. So let's go back into developer mode. Let's click on here, and let's go to our Preflight step-by-step. And there is no help for this add-on. Would you like to create a help section? We're going to say yes. Okay. And I don't have any images to put in on it, but just to show you kind of how this works, I'm going to put a blank blue box in there. Because again, today isn't really about making a real one. It's just about showing the idea. And this would be step 1A. I'm going to go ahead and make step 1B. Maybe there's more stuff that you need to know about this. You're going to go ahead and add another step. We're going to drop another image in here. And this is going to be step 2A. Step 2.B. And it doesn't re-serialize, and it doesn't 100% hold your hand, but what are these numbers that are showing up? These are the sort orders. So if for some reason step 2B needs to become the first one, there is the ability in here to go ahead and change that around. And oh, look, it's not resorting for us. Isn't that beautiful? That will actually fix. That will actually resort those around. We'll leave it alone right now. And you can also change the steps. This one's a little bit trickier because you do have to jump through the records. For all of these layouts, there is a developer that's in table view if you want to take a look at. But now we more or less have our add-on as well as our help section. So let's close this and get this out of the way. And I'm going to export that again. And I'm going to get that out of the way too. So I'm going to find progress bar. I'm going to export it. And there's progress bar. So this guy is going to go away for a moment. And we're going to bring up our target. And our target goes, I want the progress bar. That would be really cool for me to have it. So we're going to go into developer mode. And if we scroll to the bottom, a loader shows up. We're going to go ahead and take progress bar here. And we're going to dump that in there. And that, what you're watching right there, is the actual add-on. That's Calvin's progress bar that you see going across there. It's pretty cool. And in his add-on, he actually has a whole bunch of different color schemes to choose from. We're going to go out of developer mode. And we're going to go to the progress bar. And we're going to check out the Preflight step by step. And as you can see, we've got step 1, 1A, 1B. If we go through there, we've got step 2, 2A, 2B. All right. And then today's presentation's over. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm just kidding. All right. So this is when I had people reach out this morning and say, hey, you know, we've got all these add-ons for you. One of the difficulties I have outside of there not being enough time in the day is I don't know how to write the instructions for everybody's add-ons. In fact, I will admit that for my own, being strapped on time, I had the juniors do it. And I know that a couple of them can probably still use some polishing. What I really love about this is if you want to update anything, you know, you can come in here and delete an add-on. And it's very easy to get that add-on back, including all of the instructions. Okay, but let's go a step further. So I'm actually going to do a script on here called delete all add-ons. Ah, we got nothing. We're going to move this one out of the way again. The GIF is making me dizzy. We're going to go ahead and open up the Wolfpack. And in this situation, we're going to say, hey, you know what? The progress bar is great, but I've got many add-ons I want to share, and I don't necessarily want my friend on the other end to have to sit and load and load and load. Not that it's that difficult. So we're in developer mode. We're going to select all the add-ons that we want to share, okay? And we're going to go ahead and export the selected add-ons. Did I push it? There we go. So we've all got our individual packs, but what's nice about the Wolfpack is we can break off a little bit of our pack and send that pack out so that it can join other packs. As a big collective Wolfpack, if you will, we can all grow the different packages that we have. Okay, so I'm going to minus this one, and I'm going to go back to this person. So this person's really sad. Their pack is non-existent. They don't have any add-ons or wolves in theirs. But fortunately, oh, we're going to hide those. Fortunately, Kyle or Calvin or myself has said, I've got an add-on package for you. So we're going to put this person into developer mode, and we're going to load a whole pack of them. Boom. So it's that easy. So Kyle, Neil, Jake, Calvin, if you were watching this later, this is what I would really encourage people to do is come in here, create, fill out the pre-flight instructions, and then export either your individual add-on or your collection of add-ons so that you can share them with the group. We're going to cancel this, and thanks to Nick's little nifty things, it goes ahead and it just deletes that. Now we're going pretty quick. I do want to pause for a moment. I see that people are saying this is real slick. Any questions so far, Miles?
Not seeing any questions, just a lot of liking it.
Cool. Oh, well, today's going to be easy then. So let me take a look at my little checklist here. Oh, we haven't got to that one yet. We'll come back to that. Perfect. Okay. So one of the things we can actually do today, since I anticipated today we'd have a lot more time. Yesterday, it was difficult for me to try to go through and show all the add-ons that are in here. By all means, we'll probably have enough time today that if we want to go back through one of those like virtual menu or virtual portals, we can. But let's talk about what's going on here a little bit. Actually, before we get to the what's going on, there is one other feature I want to talk about in here. Two features, actually. One of them is Nick came in here and he made a really slick design to here. And I in no way wanted to necessarily step on Nick's design. And so you'll notice that we have this kind of if you will, dark mode here. We also have it in the Preflight step-by-step. This wasn't necessarily part of the original design. I do have one for the customize, but Nick's thing was so beautiful here, I didn't necessarily want to step on it. But when you get your own Wolfpack, if you would like to play around a little bit with dark mode in the startup, there is a way to go ahead and enable that for all the layouts. So that's kind of a hidden Easter egg for those of you that might be downloading this. And one of the things that's really important is we're very, very likely, in fact, I think it's almost assured, that we're going to have future versions of the Wolfpack. I think anybody in here who's been working with FileMaker knows that you're never really done with something. There's always that next version, but as long as we keep these exports and imports fairly consistent, even with new versions, we should be able to do the export and import to different ones. Maybe over time, there are different imports, but I think that that's one of the structures here that's really nice. Another thing I want to get into, and this goes into tomorrow's topic a little bit, but another feature that I added, so let's go to progress bar, and let's go ahead and click on this, and we have a duplicate. So let's go ahead and duplicate progress bar for a moment, okay? And it says the file package must be renamed. What would you like to call the file? You can title the add-on something else after. So we're going to call this progress 2. Okay. We're going to say OK. And turn the fan on real quick because it's hot in here. All right. So we've got this duplicated add-on here. For some reason, it's got my name on it. I thought I'd put Calvin's on it. And we're going to go ahead and call this Calvin again. And one thing you'll notice actually right here is it renamed the FMP12 file. This is actually a really cool feature that Calvin showed me using a really simple custom function. But now we've got this duplicated add-on. We can come down here. We can title this appropriately. So this is going to be progress customer K. And I want to talk to people about a strategy that I'm starting to, I'm likely going to start using with my add-ons, which is if anyone was here when I showed how to make the box add-on, one of the things that we learned together in that stream is that I could make a box add-on. I could go to a file like starting point, and I could drag the box over and over again onto different layouts. When I changed the source add-on file and reinstalled it, my file remained the same. But then when I went to drag the box a second time, I had this new color. This is useful and also a little bit dangerous. And one of the things that I have started to learn, because I mentioned yesterday, slide tabs that I'm very proud of, I'm using this. I'm using my add-ons with customers. And in application, one of the things I've learned, but I haven't had a chance to come back and do, is to mention this too. I actually built these months and months and months ago. I just haven't had the chance to put everything together. But I made slide tabs and the beautiful menus for a customer. And as soon as I installed it and drug it into their file, almost immediately I realized, I'm going to get to that question in just a moment, Kyle. That's a really good one. What I realized is as soon as I drug the add-on into the file, in fact, let's look, is this the starting point from yesterday? Because this will be a perfect example for it. There we go. So you drag this on here and you go, okay, that's cool, but I don't want that color. I want the button to be the same thing as my background. So let's look at our background. Let's get the color. Oh, there's none. That's helpful. So let's come over to this thing and see if we can't grab that button color. There we go. So we've got our rectangle here. We're going to do none, which actually would break this. You have to give it some sort of color. Oh, so lock the whole thing. We're not going to lock it. There we go. Yeah, let's actually just make it white. Okay. And we decide that this is the desired color for our little hidden menu. Okay. And the problem that we have is that when I go over here to estimates and I drag it on, I get that other, oh, I like to put that right into the header. Okay. I get the old color. And so every time I add this into a layout, I got to go find that source one. I got to change the color. But if I just changed it in the source add-on and then reinstalled it, every single time I drag and drop it on, I'm going to get the desired color. And so what I'm finding is that I want to go ahead and actually just duplicate my add-on. This is a strategy for myself, and have one per customer. And what's nice about this is I can handle all of the styling and make it look exactly how I want for them. And if customer A needs the add-on to work slightly different than customer B, I don't necessarily have to have a palette layout or something where I go and grab the objects and copy and paste them. I can continue to use the drag method. Now, Kyle had asked a question here in Discord that said, what about the UUIDs? If you were there for my last presentation on add-ons, I mentioned to you all that if you duplicate an add-on, you need to go in here to File, Manage Security. And you need to go to Advanced. You need to go to File Access. You need to reset. So I, like many, am still learning all of these processes as I go. But one of the steps in the add-on process, we're going to jump back to the Wolfpack here for a moment. The thing that makes all of this possible for us on the user side that FileMaker or Claris did for us is this save as add-on package. Where is it? There it is. Save a copy as an add-on package. There is the ability to replace UUIDs. And so I did an experiment with Calvin the other day, and I duplicated one of my add-on packages, and I changed the name, and it worked perfectly fine. In fact, why don't we just do this live together and we can see if this works. Nothing better than doing things live with the group, right? Get some egg on our face. Menus, test, okay. Say okay. You'll notice it changed to menus test. Author must be an auto create with my name on it. That's fantastic. We'll leave that on there. Okay. And we're going to say okay. And I'm going to uncheck everything except menus test. Okay. We're going to go ahead and go out of developer mode so that we can install this. It will quit FileMaker. That's weird. We got an error. That's great. Nothing like getting an error live. Okay, so we're not gonna necessarily do the test live because you guys don't want to sit and watch me troubleshoot. But I did do this, and as long as you change the file name, when you would go to the add-on, you'd end up seeing two of them in there. So it does see them as two different add-ons. So again, this is more of a strategy for myself of this idea of using duplicate. But I'll get that fixed for you guys before it goes out there tomorrow. And I just wanted to mention that because tomorrow is going to be focused quite a bit on kind of the strategy of this. And that is definitely one of the strategies I've been coming to learn. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close that. And David Angel, I think, is asking, the exported file includes the details entered in the Wolfpack. Yeah, so since we have extra time today, why don't we actually, yesterday was just like, hey, kind of a dog and pony show of looking at how it, what's happening, not necessarily how it's happening. So I've got the exported add-on package right here, which is all of them. Let's start with just with a single add-on. So we'll go to beautiful menus here, and I'm going to export that. Okay, and we're going to open this up and take a look at what it is. Okay, this is a fairly unusual. So we've got here our 18 records, and you'll notice a lot of the records look empty. But as I start to scroll right, we start to see data. So what the heck is going on? Well, I'll tell you, the problem that I found myself facing is I have 3 tables, a parent being the add-on record that has a bunch of containers inside of it, and then it has children records that are help steps, and help steps have checklists. 3 layers of tables, all related to each other, and I need to get all of this information out into a single pack to someone else, then they can dump it in there to solution to get it into their solution. So how did I do that? So we're going to go over here and we're going to look at the export script. Okay. So over here we've got this export command. And I did something I've actually never done before. Okay. So we're actually taking place from the add-ons table. And so you'll notice over here on the right, I have a bunch of fields from the add-ons table. But I also needed to get children of the add-ons table. So you know what I did? I went from add-ons to add-ons step, and I grabbed a handful of fields from there. Those show up right here. But I needed to go one step further. I needed to get the children of the steps, which are also the grandchildren of the add-ons. So then I went to steps, and I'll show you this in the relationship graph, steps checklists, and I grabbed fields out of those. That's this right here. Now, I think that looking at it on here is inherently confusing. So let's go look at the relationship graph where I think this makes more sense. Okay. So our export takes place from right here. So this is the table that we're on, and here is our local fields. And before doing this, I believe 100% of the times that I've ever done an export, I've only ever exported from the table that I'm on. But in this case, I'm actually looking through the relationship to the steps that are related to that record, and I'm exporting those. And in addition to that, I'm reaching through that relationship, and I'm grabbing the checklist items that are related to this. Miles, have you ever done an export like this?
I've done a couple like from the child, but yeah, I've never gone deeper than that.
Yeah, so this was absolutely a first for me. And so I saw that it was an option, and so the next step is, okay, like, well, what do I get? So that's where this came from. So we're looking at beautiful menus here, and let's try to break down what we're looking at. Because if I've never done this, I'm going to guess not as many people out there. Kyle has, okay? So our first record has add-on data, okay? And as I scroll to the right, if it's still going to let me, you'll notice that the first row is filled out 100% of the way. But we get here, and you'll see this add-ons underscore step. So this row from here to, I think, about here, there we go, these 4 fields in record 1, follow me here, this is the first record of the first child, okay? A little weird. The next set of fields in the first record is the first grandchild record. Okay, so let's follow this then. Second record, there is no parent. So if we scroll back over, we get the second child record in these 4 fields, and we get the second grandchild record in this area here. And you'll notice that the numbers here, restart in 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's because 1 is related to this one, but records 2 and 3 here are related to this one. So it's kind of an interesting way of looking at the data structure. And if anyone out there is going, well, why is he doing it in a FileMaker file? Well, A, we love FileMaker files, but it's one of the only ways that I can export a bunch of different container records as well. So now I've got this data structure here, and let's go look at a bigger one now. Okay, so we've got a whole package here. Go to table view, because I think it's the easiest way to actually look at this information. And you'll notice we've got an add-on. We've got an add-on, so we've got features. Where's the file name? Beautiful menus, slide tabs, virtual menus, virtual tabs. So Ed, I hope this is answering kind of your question there that, yeah, when we do the export, we're not just getting the add-on. We're getting all of the data that's related to it. And to me, this is one of the really valuable things of the Wolfpack is I've had other engineers give me their add-ons, and I don't know how to use them. I've sent my add-ons to people that I think are simple, and they don't know how to use them. The help part is really important. Good for exporting budget data, yeah. So then how do you get this back into a FileMaker file? So that was the next question. I'm like, okay, I've solved the problem of how I get a bunch of data out into a single file. How do I get it back in? Okay. So what I ultimately had to do is make a new table called loader. And if you go over here to the loader table, what I've done is I've given a prefix to a bunch of these fields. So we have our add-on fields, we have our step fields, and then we have our checklist ones, okay? So just like this file looks like over here, when this table gets imported, it's gonna look a lot like this, with empty rows and data over here. So the next step is, how do we get this into the correct places? Well, initially what I did is I wrote a loop. And the loop said, hey, if this field isn't empty, just create a record through the relationship and pass all of the logical data that is an add-on. And similarly, if this one's not empty, pass all the logical step data, so on and so forth for check, rinse and repeat all the way down. And this works, but everyone in here has been watching enough Nick videos and should hopefully know at this point that running a loop, especially to create records, is really not the most efficient way to do it. It did have a really cool benefit, which is Calvin's little progress bar he made me could tell you exactly what add-on you were loading, and it took a little longer so you could see it happening. But there's a much better way to do this. And let's see, I think this version has it. Okay, perfect. So we get all that data into our target field here, our target table. Okay, so we've imported everything into loader, and now what we need to do is we need to parse the pieces of data into the correct table. Okay, so imagine, let's go get our source file. I know that we're not necessarily in the loader table, but it's the same thing. Okay, so if I needed to move add-on data in the same way that I evaluated if this is empty or not, well, I can do a find. Look at that, there's all my add-ons. But I just got some extra junk over here that I'm not interested in. So it really wouldn't be that hard for me if I wanted to export. Just add-on data. So we can go in here and we go, hey, I just want the add-on data, the ones that don't have these weird names here. Okay. So I'm just targeting those. I'm gonna move them. I'm gonna say export. Okay, and let's go look at what we've got over here now. Look at that. It's just add-on data. Okay. Similarly, let's go back to our file. And let's do a find over here for our steps. If I can find the first one, I think D. Okay, that looks about right. Let's do an export. FileMaker profile. Clear all that and grab just step information. Okay, so this is our children records. We're going to move that over. We're going to export. Okay. And so now we've got test 2 over here. Let's look at that. Perfect. Maybe this is, hopefully, whoops, I'm moving things around in my dock. Hopefully this is starting to come into focus. I'm not going to do this again for the checklist, but you can get the idea that we can take this single consolidated table and now re-parse it out to what we want. And you might be watching and going, that's great, Kristian, you can export it with the export command, but what are we going to do with the script? And if you've watched some of Nick's videos, you've probably actually seen this. So here we are. We've imported into the loader table, just like this package that everyone just saw. Okay. And we're going to come down here. We're going to enter find mode. We're going to isolate the add-ons by looking for ID add-on, because there absolutely has to be a primary key. We're going to say, hey, send that to the base path can either be your desktop or the temporary path. Okay. So we're going to export it, and then we're going to import it from that same location. And we're going to put it just into those fields. So if we look at the import here, there's all of our add-on fields that we need to populate. And as you might start to expect, if we scroll on down here, same thing. We're in the same loader table. We're going to do a find for ID steps. Okay. And then we're going to export just those 4 or so fields that we want. And then we are going to go ahead and import them back in. And we're going to do the same thing with the checklist down here. And so one of the reasons I thought this was really important to make is I really think that that Wolfpack can serve a couple different purposes, as I've mentioned a couple times. It could be very useful to Megan and those out there who are aspiring developers who don't necessarily want to make their own add-on yet. They might not be there, but they would like to improve their FileMaker skills. And they go, Nick's slide tabs is this is honestly just a name I made up one night, but his slide tabs feature, I really like it, but I'm struggling to make it myself. This is really cool. It lets me just drag and drop it on there. So you're a consumer of the different things that are out there, and you're able to stand on my shoulders as I'm standing on Nick's shoulders, as we're all kind of collectively growing the platform. But then Jake's going to be in the office and go, I've got add-ons, I've got things that I can do myself, and he's going to want to go in developer mode and start to develop those things. He and Kyle very likely are going to go, you know what I like about this file? It's unlocked. I can go in here and customize it however I want to. But what's important is if you get the Wolfpack and you're a developer, try to leave that export or that import script alone. I would say that this is one of the frameworks that is really important, because then people, as long as they haven't messed up the export too much, should be able to send you add-ons as you can send them to you. That doesn't mean that you can't make an export and import version, which is likely will happen in future iterations of Wolfpack. But we have this ability to both be consumers of the add-ons and creators of the add-ons. So I'm gonna pause for a moment. I don't necessarily see any questions. Did I lose you guys? Are we bored today? Can't delete those. Okay. And I'd warned Miles ahead of time that today was going to be, there's less stuff to kind of cover. I'm loving it. If anyone does want me to recover any of the add-ons from yesterday, let me know, because we're probably going to end up with a little bit of extra time here, which is totally good. And also, if there's anything you guys want me to focus on tomorrow, let me know. Obviously, I got a couple little bugs I just noticed in here. Richard yesterday had also said, hey, you're going to need a search on here, because eventually, as all these packs combine and you get a giant wolf pack, how are you going to find your favorite add-ons in here? So I went ahead and I made him a little, made him a search box. That's not working, of course. I sourced one. One of the fun things with building something right before you release it, finding those little bugs. Obviously, I've got an issue with the self-calc. So there's a self-calc in here. You guys have probably seen Nick do this. It allows you to do the dynamic portal sorting. It's also probably the reason I'm getting the JSON here to not calculate. There's a bug there, so that'll be some homework for tonight. Additionally, we've gone ahead and added a button here if you want to export your add-ons out of here. Because again, if you want to change the styling, you're going to want to get the package out of there. The only good bug is a dead bug. Yes, I agree. All right. So I'm running low on things for everybody, unless there are some questions. What I might do is just go back and show that. Would anyone want to see the virtual portal ones yesterday that I had kind of gone over fairly quick? Okay, we can do that pretty quick, because we've got plenty of time right now. Miles, you doing okay over there on your end?
I am.
Beautiful. All right. So to back up to yesterday, if everyone remembers with their Wolfpack, the first thing you need to do is install the add-on. We already did that yesterday. The next thing is you need to find the desired layout that you want to work on. Let's take a look at contacts over here, and let's kind of just clean this up a little bit. It's a little overwhelming right now with all the stuff going on. Okay. Sorry, beautiful menus, you're going to go away. Okay. Perfect. There we go. So let's go open up our checklist on this. This is one. And for the Kyles out there, for the Neils out there, for the Jakes out there, take note on this one. As I mentioned, I didn't write the instructions for my add-ons, just being busy. I have reviewed them, and I'm aware that some of these could be a little bit better. And I think virtual portals is a good example of this. And I think that the add-ons are, at least in the experience of the ones that I have, are going to be very closely tied to how well you can explain how they work. Okay? So we're going to do a pre-flight checklist. Okay, and so again, we need to be in our targeted area, so we're going to make sure we do the README first. See the requirement at the top of the screen. I'll talk about with this one in a second here. Drag and drop onto the layout somewhere. This one, for some reason, is kind of particular. It needs to be in an open space, and then place the add-on. So let's come over here. You could create a different favorites list by creating a Wolfpack with a selected set of add-ons. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of this idea that you can have all these different kind of packs. I wanted to make it really easy to, load and unload them. Okay, so let's go and drag virtual portals on screen here. And in the requirements, and since we have time today, I will actually really kind of slow this down a little bit. What are the requirements? Okay. And for those of you who are maybe a little bit newer on the shallow end of the poll, the Megans, the bunnies, this part's actually really important. Way beyond virtual portals, pay attention to this. Once I mastered this specific technique, my ability to do things in FileMaker took off. Okay? We're just going to move all this out of the way for a moment. And I see there's a question. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So we're over here in accounts. And accounts have notes related by our ID. So if I'm in McDonald's, I can see all the notes for McDonald's. If I'm in Apple, I can see all the notes for Apple. Okay? These are the relationships in the portal that most people are most familiar with, and also probably the first thing that you learn. So hopefully this makes some sense to even our newer people. This next one, though, maybe not so much. How does this one work? ID current note. What does that mean? Okay, so over here, again, we got primary key, or we got child key, foreign key, excuse me. And over here, we've got this thing called current note to the primary key in the child table. And I think Nick's gone over this. This is this idea of selecting records. So what is ID current note? Well, I can go to the table, but I'll tell you this. It's just a local index field. Depending on your context, it can also be a global. But the idea is that there's only ever really going to be, for argument's sake today, one key. Let's not worry about any others possibly going in there. And so if you can start to think about FileMaker from the perspective of lists and selected records, your skill set will very well take off. Look at Nick's UI, UX sample file and a lot of what he does, and this is what you see at the heart of it. Left-hand side, he's got a list. Right-hand side is that selected record. And this exists inside a starting point. That's what this notes portal is. List of all of our notes for the record that we're on. Let's make a bunch more. Okay, so we come over here. So we're going to do note, Miles. Miles is bored. Okay, we're going to come over here. We're going to do phone call. Ryan wants to sell you stuff. Okay, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to do type. We're going to do inbound email. Work. Someone wants to hire. Okay. And then as we click on those, we can see the records to the right. Now, if you've not taken this apart, I know that when I was brand new to RCC, one of the things that threw me off here is there's no portal over here. Okay? There is no portal hiding under there. The reason this works is when you have a key and you look at fields on the other side of the relationship, you always see the first one. And if you're only putting one key in there, you're only going to see one record on the other side. Okay? As soon as I finish this, guys, I'm super glad to see questions. Thank you. But let me finish this, and I'll come back to those in just a moment. So I'm going to ungroup these. And yesterday I mentioned you basically have two choices for buttons here, and today I'll show that off. So I'm going to put this set of buttons right here. Hopefully that's inside of there. Okay, and I'm going to put this set of buttons next to it. Let's make sure that it's actually in there. Good. And then I'm going to drag this button over. And if you use virtual portals, I'm also going to turn the sort off on this, and we'll come back to why. So if you use virtual portals, this button has no purpose, and you'd really only use this set or these sets, okay? But this button is kind of like following the string back to where things work. So if you double click on this, it's going to take you to a configure script. And what I'm going to do is start by, oh, look, I've already got it as the get script parameter. Okay. So actually, obviously, this is from yesterday. Normally, this has a function in it with some parameters. That is what you're going to use to configure this. Okay. So on this button, I'm going to go in here, and if I know my naming conventions, virtual portals. So virtual portals. Look at that. One of them is going to say configure. Look at that. I haven't worked on this thing in months, but I know it is. So active field selected record is going to be our ID current note. Why does it say we're in contacts though? I thought we were in accounts. Oh, I showed you guys the wrong backend. My fault. Okay. Same idea though. And then over here, we need to know the parent key on the other side. Just think about what's going to match this one right here. Okay. So we're going to go here. We're going to look for notes, ID contact, not selected. I want that primary key. Okay. And tomorrow we'll get into what's going behind the scenes. I'm not going to break that down right now because I don't want to lose too much. And I see that there's finally some questions, which I'm excited about. We're going to go ahead and load this. And now it says, hey, you want to go to the next record? And look at that. We'll go to the next record. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting anyone to come use this when you can see a portal like this. Obviously, it's way better just being able to select the portal. But as I had mentioned yesterday, there are going to be contexts where you have just the data like this, and being able to toggle from left to right is actually kind of nice. I use this a handful of times. That's why I made this. And again, it doesn't matter which set of buttons you want to use. In this one, there's conditional formatting to have that turn gray. Similar here, but this button just doesn't do anything. So I'm going to pause for a moment because I definitely saw some questions come through. And I'm just going to start from top to bottom here. So Jake said, I'm guessing since the steps have a container, I can include a demo video for each step, not just an image. Yes. Thank you, Jake. There's been a big kind of question back and forth on individual steps with a picture versus a video. At RCC, we don't like to put videos directly into our files. And as you guys can imagine, what we realize is, oh, shoot, we have to update the video. Well, what do we do to all the files floating around out in the universe? Do we just tell people they got to come download a new one? We can, but we get a lot of tech support. So we prefer there to be some sort of link so that we don't have to necessarily go update the files. But Jake, and for others that are sharing it, absolutely drop a video in there. And there's actually kind of a hidden thing in here. I'm going to come back for a moment. I don't have a way for the user to easily edit this right now. But if you're someone like Kyle and maybe you do have the video hosted somewhere, we're going to go to custom or Preflight checklist and virtual menus. This is a complicated add-on. Please see our video that demonstrated how to use this. Please follow the instructions first. Look at minute 28:40. Click here to watch the video. When I click on this, it takes you to the video. Okay. So probably should turn that off so I don't kill the stream. So what's going on there? I made changes before I release it, but I'm running out of time. If you go to help checklist, there is a spot for a link. And I filled that out for a couple. And there's some coding in there that just kind of makes that work a little bit better. But yeah, you know what, Jake? See about that? The only thing, keep in mind, videos are really, really big. So if you dump a video into your help file or into your add-on, obviously that's just something to account for. Next question. Any future plans to make a cloud location for export and import to be shared by everyone? That's a really interesting question, Emiko. I would say no, that there aren't any current plans. Richard brought this up yesterday, but I definitely got the impression from him that there is some sensitivity to how we portray this. I want to make it very clear that we're not trying to plant FileMaker or Claris's distribution or marketplace. To me, this is much more of like a tool to organize ours. But what's really cool is that Jake, Emiko, Kyle, and all of us can share ours amongst each other. But based on the conversation with Richard, I'd say it's unlikely that we're going to have something hosted that way. But who knows? It's very well that things are going to continue to change very much with add-ons. And it's very possible that future people watching this video, some of the stuff I say is just going to be outdated. And that could be later in 2021 or in 2022. Kyle's got a question here. And Jake or Emiko, by all means, ask another question that I didn't fully answer it. When we add a new add-on to this file, can we upload it to a server where other users can download it to their copy of the Wolfpack? How do we use their share add-ons with the community? Just realized my question was the same as Emiko's, which is fantastic that I read it out loud. We're figuring it out. Right now, one of the things that's actually really, really cool, I think, about these streams that Richard pioneered is we have a bit of a community right now. Maybe we'll make a channel in Discord where everyone can share our packs so that we can have our packs intermingle with one another. But at the moment, no, there isn't anything more than that. We will have a website for Wolfpack, and so as the versions of that update, we will put them there. And ultimately, we do want to put the individual add-ons there. So maybe I was wrong when I told Amico that there isn't any cloud-based option. We are going to have a web page with those add-ons. And I have been encouraging Calvin to put together a pack once this comes out. He's got 3 really cool add-ons. And there's other people at RCC who have been coming to me and showing me their different ideas. I actually have a whole bunch of other ideas. I just haven't had the time to put any of them together. But I really like this idea of these really, really, really simple add-ons. For example, if Nick doesn't do it, what I'll probably do is take his UI UX file and make a Neo Morpheus, whatever we're calling that, package of just a lot of those different layout objects that I want to reuse, because I've already started to use those with clients. Probably like a lot of you have in your own files. And there's a channel for Wolfpack related that I assume. Look, Miles, you're supposed to help me here. They're answering their own questions. Thank you, M. Johnson. The selected child field stores to the parent table in a global field on record. The global field relates to the other child table. David, if you're asking how, let's move this out of the way. If you're asking how this works, you're close. It used to be a global field. The problem was in the first integration that I had with this, which worked, that required one extra step. The user had to make at least one global field, and I felt like that extra step was a deterrent, and it made it slower. So it does store it in a global, but it's not a global field. Okay. I've had to run to UPS where they close, blah, blah, blah. Any other questions out there, Miles, I'm not missing? I'm just kind of scrolling down a little bit.
Yeah, nothing on the other side. Just feedback on how they're liking it. Excited to play around with it.
I'm going to show 2 things here, and then we're kind of wrapping up there a little bit. So one of them is, if you guys notice at the beginning here, I turned the sort off on this. Let's turn it back on for a moment. And this is something, again, I know many of you come to Nick's streams, so you might be aware of this. I turned it off because every time I demo this for the first time for people, this really confuses them. See when I go forward how it goes up the portal versus down? Okay. So I first learned this with filters, but when you filter a portal, the data doesn't go away. If you open your data viewer, you can still see it there. It just makes it look like it's out of there. And similarly, when you sort a portal, the records don't actually change, and these arrows are doing a go to next record that doesn't care about this sort. But let's look at what this sort says. Okay, date created, time created. So let's go ahead and turn it off. And that's TO5C. Let's go to TO5C. And I'm not going to necessarily get into why you would or would not sort the portal versus the relationship. Let's go ahead and do date created. Let's do time. Miles, were they ascending or descending? Test question. I think they're descending. Yeah. Okay, let's go back real quick. Everyone knows you don't remember if it's ascending or descending. You just try it, and if it doesn't work, you flip them. Okay. Over here, let's flip that. And now, portal sort is off. We go to browse mode. And we can see now they're back in this logical, the 4th to the 8th right here, and I can actually go through. Are they still going backwards? There we go. So now it makes a little bit more sense. So it's just something to understand when you do virtual portals, if you use this feature to understand that difference. But again, you would never actually know that you're going up or down through the portal, because virtual portals doesn't make sense to do it with a portal on screen. It just doesn't. Okay. This is when you want to have a FA portal. And this is why I was mentioning, for those who are newer at FileMaker or not necessarily masters of it, understanding this idea that there are just a series of lists and rotating through the list. Whenever I get new engineers that I have to train at RCC, they're always so interested in the niche technologies. They want to do APIs, data APIs, cool stuff that they aren't going to use on a daily basis. But if you can master understanding lists, list manipulation, and selection of record, that's something that, at least for myself, I'm using every day over and over and over again. And that's kind of what's going on here. And like I said, I'm not going to break it down, but David Angel, you're wanting to know kind of what's going on there. Let's go ahead and open up the data viewer. And this will be kind of our teaser for tomorrow. And what the heck is this? Well, let's go look at that in the other data viewer, assuming I can spell it correctly. I'm not going to remember how to spell that. And I might as well get us out of here in the next 5 or so. Okay. So there's just 2 things I want to do here. Perfect. So there's variable number 1 that's telling us some stuff. Okay. Note 10, active field, first, last, list, position. Not going to break it down too much. Just want to show that a little bit. And then we also have another one in here. Okay. This one is JSON format. There we go. A little bit more information. These 2 variables, global variables, interact with one another to make this process work. And then one other little teaser. Yesterday we talked about the slide panels, and Moki made the comment, and it definitely made me feel good. Like, I'm quoting Moki, I've struggled trying to get the context to work with that slide panels as you change modules, layout mode, browse mode. We're going to go over here, we're going to configure. Let's go to another record. Actually, another record. Okay, we're on March 8th. Let's come over here. Hit configure. Might get mad because I'm in the same record, but very similar-ish feature here. 4th. I had to break it over there. But that is some of the magic that we're going to get into tomorrow. Like, what is going on here, and why do we have a second set of these global variables? So I don't know that any other, they're sending for now. I don't think we have any other kind of questions there. So we got a chance to take a look at virtual portals. And so, again, I figured today was actually going to be really quick. And though I maybe would have had a little bit more to chat about, I think it's actually important that it was that quick. So if you already have your add-on, which you might spend many, many hours to work, loading it into here, creating it and sharing it and loading it into another person's Wolfpack isn't even an hour's worth of a stream. So that, I think, is something that I'm really excited about, and I'm really excited to see what other people do with this, because I don't think I'm necessarily the smartest or greatest developer out there. I'm actually really excited to see what some other people are doing, and I'd like to share the trials and tribulations of my own experience in making add-ons so that people can maybe learn from that in the same way I want to learn from them. And we also got a chance to look at an add-on yesterday that we had to rush through fairly quickly. And now we have a little bit of an idea of kind of like what is going on behind the scenes to make this work. Look, those arrows jumped all over. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to start to talk about some of those trials and tribulations. I have a method to the madness, if you will, of how I make my add-ons, and I'm finding that I'm following this roadmap fairly consistent. But I've also spoken to a couple other engineers who have really interesting ideas on how we can use the various tools and features available in the current add-on build to our advantage as developers, and I'll try to discuss that a little bit as well. So I think that we've actually gone past the runway with as little content as we had today, but I want to yet again thank everybody for coming here. I appreciate the questions, and I look forward to continuing the conversation tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, Kristian. And yeah, we'll continue tomorrow.
stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snaps a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.